Hey all, Ron here from Military Images Magazine with a new episode of Life on the Civil War Research Trail. Today, I want to take you to the Great Hall of Virginia's House of Delegates on May 28, 1890. Veterans of the Army of Northern Virginia, most now in their 50s, maybe a little bit older, their beards are turning gray, laced with salt and pepper. They filled their seats for the annual reunion. They're here to remember their service under General Robert E. Lee, to debate the various military, political, and cultural threads that bound them together, and to reflect on the divisions that still plague the nation, of wounds unhealed. Stepping up to the podium to deliver the keynote address is Brigadier General Evander M. the Citadel educated commander of Law's Alabama Brigade, Hood's Division, Longstreet's Corps. South Carolina born and an Alabamian by choice, Law delivered an address titled The Confederate Revolution. A military educator by profession, Law took a lofty, long view of the topic. He traced the country's progress in fits and starts from its founding, events leading up to the Civil War, and the reasons why the South lost. Law concluded his address with a section titled, Who Were the Victors in Our Civil War? It's an interesting and unique passage. It acknowledges the benefits of a strong central government, something the Civil War South wasn't particularly in favor of. And in this era, it's 1890, huge wealth gaps that separated the rich and the poor, and political unrest that seemed to be spreading across the country. So let me read the passage to you. Who are the victors in our Civil War? It is true, Law said, that the federal government overthrew secession and abolished slavery. But has that relieved it from the danger of revolution and internal dissension in other forms and from other causes? All history will belie itself if the future furnish no such causes. What say our political seers to this vast accumulation of wealth in a few hands, the most prolific source of social and political corruption and national decay to be found in history? What of the unceasing and ever-growing conflict between capital and labor, which is shaking every civilized country, as well as our own, to its center? What of the anarchism and its terrible handmade dynamite, the direct offspring of the other two? All these conditions were abnormally developed by the war and are confined to that section of the Union which seemed 25 years ago to have reaped all the rewards of success. But say our optimistic Solons, the war gave us also a strong, centralized government, which is a safeguard against all these possible perils. Let them beware lest they repeat Nebuchadnezzar's dream of his tree of power and find no Daniel to give the interpolation thereof. The tendency of all centralism in any form of government under the sun is to despotism, and anarchy is the last and most terrible offspring of despotism. But how fares it with our Southland since the dark days of destruction and reconstruction? It is no less true of her than of other sections that she has dangers to confront in the present and in the future. The race problem, a legacy of the war, even now looms up ominously before us, and its final settlement must and will remain with the states of the South. But relieved of the incubus of slavery and with the disciplined and the stern school of poverty and adversity, she has not for a moment halted or turned back in the great race of progress. With firm and elastic tread, she is springing forward on the highway of material prosperity and bids fair to realize her fondest dreams of wealth and power. As descriptive of these conditions, we sometimes hear of the New South in contradistinction to the old. Thank God it is one South, neither new nor old, but always glorious. But for its record in the past, it could never have been what it is today. Material prosperity alone never made a people great. Cherishing the great traditions, the chivalric character, and the splendid achievements of the past, let us improve upon them if we can, and therewith be content. The great painter Leonardo da Vinci, when but a youth, was directed by his instructor to complete a picture which he had been compelled to leave unfinished. Taking the brush with trembling hand and kneeling before the picture, he prayed for skill and power to complete the work for the sake of his beloved master. His hand grew steady, the light of genius flashed from his eye, enthusiasm and forgetfulness of self took the place of fear and self distrust, and lo, when the picture was finished, the work of the young artist had surpassed that of his master. So, with reverent hands, will we of this generation devote ourselves to the great work before us, and that our efforts may increase the happiness, the strength, and the glory of our grand motherland. Would to God that in this great country of ours, political were not so nearly synonymous with geographical boundaries, and that while rejoicing in each other's progress, every section might unite in a spirit of loyal brotherhood to meet every danger that threatens in any and every part of our wide domain. The cultivation of such a spirit and a return to strict constitutional methods is the only course of the Union is indissoluble. Leave to the states their entire sovereignty in all things, not absolutely requiring the intervention of the national government. The true strength of that government in the future must be as the head of a mighty phalanx of harmonious and indestructible states, which will bear it up on their shields and carry its banner triumphantly through every peril. To this great end, the states of the South stand ready to pledge their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. This union has been cemented by blood too precious to have been shed in vain. Let that blood atone for all the errors of the past, while North and South and East and West, with loyal hearts and willing hands, put on the old ship all her power today, crowd extra top gallants and royal studding sails, with flags and flaunting pennants added, as we take to the open the deepest, freest waters. So there you have it. The end of the speech, the Confederate Revolution, asking the question about the Union and who were the victors. That's Evander Law sharing his perspectives in 1890. It's a long way to go to being the freest. We're still working on it. But that was Law's take over 100 years ago. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next episode of Life on the Civil War Research Trail.